On August 24th, the next chapter of Destiny was revealed in The Witch Queen. So let's talk about what was revealed. This is Omega spoiler territory. If you do not want any Witch Queen spoilers from the official reveal, turn away now. I will not be discussing any leaks in this video or any future videos, only officially released material. First off, The Witch Queen will launch on February 22nd, 2022. Yes, that is 22222. Featuring Savathun, the Witch Queen, players will find themselves in a new destination, her throne world. One of the core features of the expansion are the new Lucent Brood race. Essentially, these are Hive Guardians, as Savathun has managed to take control of the light, giving it to Hive. It seems that in order to fully kill a Hive Guardian, you must defeat them and then kill their ghost via a finisher type move. A new weapon archetype was also revealed, the Glaive. The Glaive is a first-person melee weapon that can be used to fire projectiles, do melee attacks, and even deploy defensive capabilities. However, you will not earn this weapon, you will craft it, as weapon crafting is coming to Destiny. Weapon crafting is a new feature coming with the Witch Queen. It has a combat-focused progression system where the more you use your weapon to complete objectives, the more you'll level them up and the more powerful they will become. At launch, you'll be able to craft all Throne World, Raid, and Seasonal weapons with plans to add Legacy and new weapons to the system as Year 5 of Destiny goes on. As for the campaign, there is a new legendary mode where you'll be able to increase the difficulty of the campaign. Enemies will hit harder, respawns are going to be more limited, and the difficulty will scale based on the size of your fire team. Witch Queen will have a full campaign, as you might expect. Witch Queen will also feature a 6-player match-made activity and a new raid, along with a returning Destiny 1 raid at some point during the year. It was mentioned that in Year 5 of Destiny 2, players will not go more than 3 months without a new or returning raid or dungeon. The final chapter of the Light and Darkness saga of Destiny was also revealed. After the Witch Queen will come Lightfall, and after Lightfall will come the Final Shape. Destiny 2 will be going beyond the Final Shape, although nothing is known about this Phase 2 of the Destiny universe. While no new Darkness subclass was mentioned, Bungie has revealed their plans to update the Light subclasses with the system that Stasis has right now with Aspects and Fragments. Void will be the first on the list, followed by the other two later on in the year. Before we experience the Witch Queen, the Bungie 30th anniversary event will be taking place in December. Part of it is for free, a 6-player activity and more loot to collect. If you buy the paid edition, which is $25, you will gain access to a, quote, pirate-themed, quote, treasure, unquote, dungeon in the old-school Destiny 1 loot cave, an exotic weapon, emotes, ship and sparrow, 2 universal ornament sets, a unique helmet ornament, and returning Destiny 1 weapons, Ias Luna and Thousand Yard Stare. The ornament sets are inspired by the 30th anniversary event and Marathon. The exotic weapon mentioned is famed Destiny 1 weapon, Gjallarhorn. Yes, it is coming back, and you will get it via the dungeon. The deluxe edition of the Witch Queen will also include 2 dungeons to be released during 2022. Important to note that the deluxe edition of Witch Queen includes the 4 seasons to be released during the expansion cycle. Now, I doubt very heavily that Bungie has made 2 dungeons specifically for people who own the deluxe edition exclusively. For example, if the dungeons release in Seasons 17 and 19, you would only need to purchase Seasons 17 and 19 in order to play them. That is my interpretation of this marketing material. I could be wrong. I would wait for clarification, but I have extreme doubts that they would limit the dungeons specifically to deluxe owners. Bungie will also finally be adding legacy rotations for raids and dungeons. It seems like every week will feature a new raid or dungeon to get loot from. Those are all of the major notes from the Witch Queen reveal event. Let's talk some thoughts. Hive Guardians seem pretty neat. I'm looking forward to seeing how the combat challenge of the game is going to shift based on the AI now having powers equal to us. I wonder what the respawn rates are going to be like, how urgently you need to kill a Hive's ghost in order to fully shut them down. As for the glaive, I think I was more interested in the fact that weapon crafting is coming to Destiny 2. I personally love crafting and professions in MMOs, so I'm hoping that weapon crafting is going to deliver on that front. However, I don't anticipate this to require tons of material farming like it might see in a typical MMO, especially since they said that weapons will grow stronger as you complete objectives and get kills. That doesn't exactly say to me that we'll need to go farm a bunch of materials in order to craft a +5 IS Luna or something like that, even though that is something that I hope we see to a slight degree, maybe for more exclusive weapons. I do wonder how that perk situation is going to work out, though, with weapon crafting and how much control we're going to have over crafting said weapons and perks. Not sure how much they're really going to leave to RNG. Maybe it's a lot, maybe it's almost nothing. In Destiny 1, we used to have to level our items with XP and materials. I'm not sure this will be exactly the same thing, but it wouldn't surprise me to see some elements of that system here. It seems like it'll be a bit more exciting than how it worked in D1, especially considering at one point in D1, you could just instantly level your items with a bunch of motes of light. The glaive itself seems pretty cool, definitely getting some Doom vibes with it, and Bungie did mention that if you like Doom, Halo, Titanfall, God of War, that you'll probably like the Witch Queen campaign, and I'm personally gonna just extend that to the glaive, just because that's kind of the vibe I was getting from it. There's only so much you could do with something like swords before you might have to come up with something completely different. And I'm interested to see how a melee ranged hybrid weapon will end up working out in more endgame content where things are considerably more threatening the closer you are to them. Very happy to see legendary mode for the campaign. A big gripe of mine and definitely some other players was that the campaign felt too easy and could diminish the threat of a major story character. To me, it just doesn't feel great to roll over the major set pieces and bosses of a campaign or a story when I feel like they deserve to be a bit more challenging. So now, people who want to go challenge themselves can do that without having to resort to doing dumb things like reducing your item level, playing with green guns, blindfolded, monitor off on a DDR pad, whatever else there is. Witch Queen is also going to have a new raid. That's pretty expected, but Bungie did say that a D1 raid would also be remastered during the year. My guess, given the subject matter of Witch Queen, is that King's Fall will be next on the list. It's easily the most relevant and would match very, very nicely with the Witch Queen expansion. Not only that, but I don't think much about King's Fall really needs to be significantly adjusted. I would tweak War Priest slightly to make it a more threatening encounter. I would definitely make some changes to Golgroth to make it so you couldn't one orb anymore. But the second half of the raid, I think, is in pretty good shape. It wouldn't surprise me to see Crota's End come back first, but I just don't think it's as good of a fit. I know a lot of people say that, oh, Crota's End should just come back as a dungeon, it's so easy, but I would love to see Bungie really give another whack at it and try to make it the raid that I really think it can become. Wrath of the Machine, that would very much surprise me if it came back next. While I don't think we should completely rule out the possibility of more darkness-based subclasses, one would think that if there was ever a time to announce them, it would be right now. Instead, the light subclasses will be getting reworked and released during the year. At this moment in time, I'm kind of okay with that. I think Bungie learned their lesson with overtuning the hell out of Stasis upon its release, and I don't necessarily think that another darkness subclass would result in another 6 months of busted PvP. But I think refreshing the light subclasses will be very good for the game and will likely have their own balance issues to solve. Imagine including a darkness subclass on top of every current light subclass getting revised. That might be kind of a nightmare. So if we are to see another darkness subclass, it might have to wait until Lightfall, or maybe they surprise us, who knows. The 30th anniversary event is getting some mixed opinions by the community. I totally see why. It is a $25 experience if you want everything from it, most of it being cosmetic in nature, but there are some gameplay elements to it, and most notably, Gjallarhorn being in the dungeon, which you need to purchase. If the 30th anniversary event was solely cosmetic, I wouldn't have too much to say about it, but because it's not only including a dungeon, but also the most famous weapon in Destiny of all time, I can see where some of that apprehension comes from. As for Gjallarhorn specifically, I'm pretty mixed on this as well. Obviously, it's a great marketing tool. It will make people buy this 30th anniversary event thing solely for Gjallarhorn. From the business side, I totally get it. From a legacy point of view, my feelings are similar to Hawkmoon. While I enjoy Hawkmoon 2.0, I wouldn't have minded to have its legacy stay with Destiny 1. I don't know if G-Horn will ever live up to its D1 legacy, and I think I would have preferred it stay in D1. Obviously, not everyone's going to agree with me on that one. I don't think there's a wrong or right answer here, just mainly personal preference. I imagine this event is also so that Bungie can recoup some of that missing holiday money. With no expansion during the holiday, it will have been 6 months between releases, with the previous release having been $10. Probably need a bit more than that to keep the studio going. The dungeon and activity were also likely built so that we wouldn't have 6 months of the same Season 15 seasonal activity. There was definitely going to be a need for some kind of content during the holiday season. But as for the price tag, $25, it's definitely steep, especially when compared to a typical season, which is $10. A lot of your purchase is going to cosmetics, but to have a steep entry point compared to seasons just so that you can play the dungeon can be a little off-putting. If possible, I think Bungie should consider a mid-tier option for those who just want to play the dungeon and get Gjallarhorn without having to spend a ton of extra money on stuff that they might not want. I think $5 to $10 solely to unlock the dungeon in Gjallarhorn would be nice, but as I've discussed with the Eververse video, I doubt anything's going to happen on that front. Eververse non-negotiable. I wouldn't get your hopes up. A man can dream, but don't get your hopes up. Again, with regards to the deluxe edition of Witch Queen, they say that 2 dungeons will be coming during the year for deluxe owners. Being a deluxe owner just means that you pre-purchased all of the seasons for the year. I highly doubt that you need to purchase the deluxe to access them, and instead will be able to purchase the seasons individually during their release to gain access to the dungeons. However, I would really like to see Bungie make it so you can buy previous seasons without having to buy the deluxe edition. If I wanted to play Season 13's content from this year and I didn't own the deluxe, I need to buy all of the seasons even if I just wanted to play Season 13. This is something that I think really needs to be remedied. It's very messy right now, and it's kind of annoying to even figure out in the first place. Overall, I'm pretty excited about the Witch Queen. It's very hard not to be. However, we still got 181 days to go. The biggest point I made for Beyond Light was that it didn't feel like it innovated enough on the whole of the Destiny experience. And it feels like Bungie is trending a bit more towards innovation with this reveal in the Witch Queen, but we won't really know until it actually comes out. Most of the Witch Queen is probably built by now, so I don't know how many adjustments they can really make, but that's been my note for Bungie over the past few months. The game needs to start innovating and moving forward, not just maintaining what we have. If that happens in the Witch Queen, and if the core playlists really start getting some love, then I think we're going to be in a pretty good spot. Thanks very much for watching. I'll see you next time.